Clark County Today is presented by Cano Real Estate. Hire an agent, get a team. Learn more by visiting canorealestate.com.
Hey everyone, happy Thursday to you. I'm Chris Brown. Clark County added 29 new COVID-19 cases today, as well as 2 more deaths, bringing the total to 1,756 cases and 29 fatalities blamed on the virus. 20 people are currently hospitalized in Clark County with confirmed cases. Another 10 are in the hospital with a suspected case. Dr. Alan Melnick, the county's public health officer, said Wednesday that he's confident an increase in mask wearing is having a positive impact on our COVID-19 numbers, but he cautioned that the situation with testing is nearing a case of deja vu all over again. Last April, when New York City was struggling with a massive number of cases, testing supplies meant for Clark County were rerouted there. Melnick says something similar happened in the past week, with supplies being redirected to Florida, which is dealing with a major surge in new cases. National labs have also seen turnaround times for tests increase to well over a week in some cases. Melnick told the county's Board of Public Health that the delays could have a negative impact on their efforts to notify cases and reach out to close contacts quickly so they can self-isolate and slow the spread of the disease. Fire at a Vancouver apartment complex on Wednesday evening sent 3 people to the hospital. 1 woman had to be rescued from the 2nd floor of the Autumn Chase Apartments on Northeast 7th Street. 2 units of the 16-unit complex were fully engulfed in flames when fire crews arrived. It was one of those first responding firefighters that used a ladder to help rescue the victim from the back balcony of her unit. That fire was deemed under control after a little more than half an hour. 4 occupants of the building were assessed by medics on scene. 3 were transported by AMR to area hospitals. Their conditions are currently unknown. All residents of the building were displaced by either fire and smoke damage or electrical service being turned off to that building. The fire is currently under investigation by the Vancouver Fire Marshal's office. Well, we're just over 6 weeks away from the dreaded closure of the entire northbound side of the I-5 bridge, but there'll be a few traffic disruptions ahead of that to be aware of. Oregon Department of Transportation is warning motorists that there will be sporadic lane closures throughout August as they stage the equipment needed for the mammoth 9-day project. ODOT's Don Hamilton says they've gotten a lot of questions about why they didn't move that trunnion replacement project up sooner while traffic was down during the stay-at-home orders in Oregon and Washington. One reason, he said, is that the parts that are needed require time to manufacture and ship to the area, and that process couldn't be moved up. The other reason, Hamilton added, is that the Columbia River is typically at its lowest in September, and that allows more ships to pass underneath without needing a bridge lift. The closure, which begins September 12th, is expected to cause a 4-mile-long backup on I-5 and I-205 up to 16 hours a day. And motorists are being urged to be creative with their travel plans. For more details on that project, visit interstatebridge.org. Have you voted yet? Well, as of this morning, fewer than 20% of Clark County's 302,000 eligible voters had turned in a ballot for next week's primary election. If you're among the majority who haven't voted yet, Clark County Today is providing coverage of some of the biggest races on the ballot. Yesterday, we featured one of the highest profile races in the August 4th Top 2 primary, the race for the Washington State Senate in the 18th District. Today, we're profiling the race for Clark County Council District 3. Current Councilor John Blum is being challenged by Republican Karen Bowerman and Democrat Jesse James. Clark County Today asked the candidates what they believe the county needs to do to address the COVID-19 pandemic and also what they believe the voters should be focused on when making their decision. For the full story, make sure and go to clarkcountytoday.com, and do remember to do your civic duty and vote, please. Hey, speaking of civic duty, Clark County Today editor Ken Vance today broke his silence to take a stand for the right to think and speak as you like. In his editorial, Vance says he's been quiet recently, observing what's happening around the COVID-19 pandemic and recent protests in the wake of the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis at the hands of police. And Vance shared the process he's been going through in deciding how to verbalize his thoughts and opinions. A recent Cato Institute poll he mentioned shows nearly 2/3 of Americans are reluctant to speak out on political issues for fear others might find their thoughts to be offensive. That number increases among Republicans. 77% of them said they fear reprisals for speaking their mind. In the end, Vance says he's grown weary of others getting to dictate what should be considered offensive, and he vows not to let that muzzle him in the future. Vance said what's happening in American cities like Portland and Seattle enrages him, and he believes we're not on a path that will lead to social justice in this country. You can read Vance's full thoughts on ClarkCountyToday.com, and feel free to sound off by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We don't censor thoughts, only profanity and abusive behavior, so keep it civil. Well, Bailey Meek is the best football recruit to ever come out of Kingsway Christian's football program, but he will finish high school as a Ridgefield Sputter. Oh, and he's trying to decide where to play college football during a pandemic. Here's Paul Valencia with his story.
Good evening. It's been a wild offseason for football player Bailey Meek. Then things got even crazier a couple of weeks ago. He was getting ready for his senior season at Kingsway Christian. Now, he's getting ready for his senior year at Ridgefield High School. As one of the most sought-after recruits in Clark County, Bailey Meek is trying to figure out college during a pandemic. As of today, the 6-foot, 6-inch defensive end has 14 Division I offers. However, he can't go to any campuses. He is hoping he gets to go to college campuses before he makes a decision. If that isn't stressful enough, his high school football program is no longer his high school football program. Kingsway Christian pressed pause on high school football for the next few years. Bailey opted to change schools. He lives in Ridgefield, so he is now a Ridgefield Sputter. He could have remained a student at Kingsway and played football for Ridgefield, but he said that would not be fair to his new teammates. If he was going to be a Ridgefield Sputter on the football field, he wanted to be a Ridgefield Sputter in the classroom as well.
All right, thanks so much for that, Paul. And there's your check of the stories we're following for you on this Thursday at ClarkCountyToday.com. Again, if you want to stay up to date on what's happening in your community, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can reach us with story ideas and feedback via email. news@ClarkCountyToday.com is the address. For all of us, I'm Chris Brown. Thanks so much for watching. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.